Here for this evening. I'm trying to make sure everybody can see it. Apologize. If you want to, you can go on the YouTube channel as well. But I just want to pay tribute for the first 9 minutes of this show to George Floyd and his family. As we know, right now, this country is in an uproar, and something has got to happen. There must be a change that occurs. Tonight, we will be discussing some of the different things that are going on right now in this country, and I just wanted to take a moment to make a tribute for the first 9 minutes of this show on Tuesday, June the 2nd, for Mr. George Floyd and his family. I know that I believe he had children, and I can only imagine what they are going through right now in their minds with their losses, his parents, his siblings, if he had any aunts, uncles, whoever is kin to him. I can only imagine the pain that they're feeling right now and the hurt that they're feeling, the anger that they could be feeling, which is very valid. And I just want to get on here today to pay tribute for the first 9 minutes of my show to George Floyd and his family. We understand and we know that there was no reason for anyone, police officer or not, to put their knee into his neck and for that long when he's calling out and letting you know, I can't breathe. And so tonight we're going to discuss, and I see some of you already watching. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so much, Dr. Dina. Dr. Dina Brown is actually going to be my guest. For some reason, it's telling me she's not on there, but I'll figure that out in just a few. So for the first 9 minutes, I am paying tribute to hopefully that helped it. Dina, I just tried to add you. So, okay, it says adding. So for the first 9 minutes, we're just with the tribute to George Floyd and his family. And I'm holding this poster, out of concern of his family. He had children. And whether he had children or not, he still had a family. They're hurting right now. And so tonight I want to pay tribute. Thank you, Sandra, for joining us. I hope you stay. We're going to be talking about the situation that's going on right now with George Floyd and the entire country of the United States. We have a special guest who's awesome, Dr. Dina Brown, and she has already joined us. And if we think about it, 9 minutes doesn't seem like a long time, but it's taken a while now. We're only 5 minutes in. So I can only imagine the pain that George Floyd felt in his neck as the pressure of the knee from the officer was in there. And so tonight, you know, I want all people, not just Black people, not just white people, but all people to join us as we discuss the issues that are going on right now. Maybe even, talk about some start to a resolution. Um, but I just wanted to pay tribute. We have 3 minutes left. This is a long time to have someone sitting with their knee in your neck. And I can only imagine the pain that he was feeling as he called out, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." Thank you for watching, Vanetta. Please stay on. I am going to be engaging in some hopefully very deep and honest and raw and just honest conversation this evening concerning the unrest in this country. I have Dr. Dina Brown that is joining me on this evening, and we're just going to talk about it. We have 2 minutes left still. And I know, and I just want to say to all of my African American brothers and sisters, and I say African American because I don't know what you might call, I consider myself as Black. I am a beautiful brown skinned mother of 2 boys that, this thing very well could have been one of my own children. They're young now, but they are going to have to grow up into be, men. And I would not want to hear a phone call where my son died because of an officer or anyone's anything in their neck or anywhere on their body. So tonight I pay tribute to George Floyd and his family. And I just say, even if it makes it to them some way, somehow for this particular tribute, I want them to know that I am praying for you. And I don't know. I can't say I'm sorry I am sorry, but I don't know if that's enough. It's just, I hurt for you and with you. I'll say it that way. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. So that was the first 9 minutes of this program on today. And I wanted to make a tribute to George Floyd and his family, just to sit and be still for the full 9 minutes was something in itself. So I can imagine what the pain he could have been experienced or he experienced during that time of the officer having his knee in his neck. And so tonight I have decided to bring on Dina. I don't know what that noise is. It's like a real high pitched sound. I don't know, but I decided to bring. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I wanted to introduce Dr. Dina Brown. She is a internationally best-selling author. She is the founder of the Leadership Movement, and I'm going to let her talk a little bit about that herself. But I know from firsthand that she is a awesome coach, individual. We haven't known each other long, but just the time that we have gotten to know each other, it has been awesome. And tonight she agreed to come on and just talk with me. I want to welcome you to South Carolina. She's all the way in California. I'm not sure what part, but all the way in California. And so I really appreciate you taking out the time today to talk with us and just share, thoughts on how we can, how and where do we go from here with this, with the different things that you teach as far as, shifting mindset and all of that. And I wrote down just a few things that I wanted to discuss, but of course, when I'm ready to discuss it, I picked up the wrong book. So, Dina, while you're introducing yourself, yes, while you're introducing yourself, I'll just look briefly right here and get my notes. But everyone, please send hearts and some claps and love and thumbs up and all that good stuff for Dr. Dina C. Brown. Welcome.
Well, thank you, number one, for having me.
You're welcome.
And I wanted to do a quick sound check because my buds actually, as soon as I go live and come in, they don't work any longer.
Mm-hmm.
And my other earpods actually go to my laptop, and I cannot join you live from a laptop. So,
well, you know what? And I want to stop you right there and just let you know, I'm sorry. It's because you were connected to me for this evening, because those types of things always seem to happen when someone is trying to get on this show. Something happens. So I know, once again, everyone, tonight is going to be an awesome show. So go ahead, take it away.
Yes, yeah. So there's power in it. For some reason, if you're using buds, as soon as you accept me on, they won't connect with Bluetooth.
Wow.
So I thought, okay, I'll still keep moving, and I'll make sure that my speech is clear enough that if anything does happen, that you can still get the message outside of that. So first and foremost, thank you very much for actually having me and inviting me to come on. Today has been a day. It's been a long day. Started out this morning with having some conscious conversation. My podcast, Walking Through Glass, I'm doing a special series, and I invited all women, but particularly white women, to have a conversation about race, class, and sisterhood. And in the light of what's happening, because this hits differently with women. And as you mentioned, the founder of the Leadership Movement, which again is designed to help you get out of your head to make the shifts that you need so that you can lead. And by lead, I mean learn, experience, apply, and develop differently. So there's power in your thoughts. And so right now, when there's so much chaos outside our space, of course, is seeping in. And unless we are grounded, and as our mindset has truly been curated and cultivated to withstand that space, is that it feels like you're under attack. And like I said, I think it hits differently for us as women. It hit particularly interesting for me, not only just like I said in the coach development space, because I did a podcast this morning having this conversation. Then I hosted a racial literacy roundtable this afternoon for leaders about how do you begin to have and talk about race in the workplace from a leadership perspective. And so as a leader, how do you go in and begin to build the conversation? So all day today, it's been that. And so when you reached out, I thought, of course it must be for me to have this conversation. And I think that, and starting with that, and when you think about who am I, is that in this space, and although I consider myself a futurist, an author, and entrepreneur, but through this journey, and as we're having these conversations, I am Dina Brown, Xavier's mom, the mother of an African-American male who's 18 and who has certain characteristics, as they described George Floyd, resembles that. And so I'm triggered differently. It's hit differently for me. And so where I'm normally able to kind of, let me tell you, balance is overrated. I usually seek harmony. Sometimes I'm upset, sometimes I'm down. So how are we managing that is really trying to find a harmonic balance between the days that I'm high and the days that I'm low. Because like you said, when I see the pictures and I see the images and I hear the conversation, is that, this has been part of my life for a long time. I'm 29 plus tax and gratuity, and for certain things, I'm a little anesthetized. Okay?
Yeah.
But when I thought about what does this mean for my son as he embarks on another, another space, another part of his journey, what does that mean? And how does it change the narrative for him, or does it change the narrative for him? So all of that's been swirling around. So my thoughts have been chaotic. And so how do I begin to manage that? How do I begin to lead in the midst of that? How do I begin to respond to what's happening as opposed to reacting to what I'm hearing and seeing? So all of that, I'm looking forward to having a conversation about that today.
Yeah, and definitely, as a facilitator for bringing people aware, I know I'm down in the South. Everyone talks about racism in the South. But and there's still different towns and things like that still have that stigma. Oh no, don't be caught, in that particular town after such such. Or don't even go over there because you already know that the and I'm just giving the words that people are stating. The rednecks are over there, or they don't like blacks. They're still calling you the N word, blah blah blah. And so I think about my the last roundtable that I was a part of, which we get together to facilitate, race to help people understand race inequality, as well as gender inequality, as well as economic inequality. It's not just only the race ordeal. But anyway, the last roundtable that I got to be a part of, it was very interesting because learning about what they call the white privilege. A lot of the individuals that were in the room who were white, they were like, what? The who? No, I'm tired of people saying that we have that. We don't have that. And I think for me, it's about bringing awareness to individuals in a way that they can hear, first of all, because if you're yelling, if you're tearing up stuff and things like that, people are not paying you any attention. And so it's a matter of, putting ourselves in a position at a round table where everyone can take the time to hear each other, to hear the concerns that I, as a Black woman, have, to hear the misunderstanding that a white person may have, whether it's female or male, to hear those types of things, and then try to come up with some type of resolution or some type of way of making amends, even if needed, at that particular table, where they can take it back to maybe their associations. If you don't associate with Black people, then maybe you can take it to your white association and say, this is what I learned at this particular roundtable. And then the Black person, I could, take my information and take this back and say, well, they have no clue. They're saying that they don't have a privilege. And when we see it as, yeah, they do, because they're actually acting in it. And I think it's just important for us to have these types of dialogue. And I'm not happy at all that George Floyd is gone, but I just keep reflecting on the fact that he probably never even thought that his life would make such a name for him in his death. You know how sometimes we have dreams while we're alive and we're like, man, I want to be blah, 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 but then it never happens. But then after you're gone, and that's not to say that you can't have your dreams till you're dead or whatever, but after you're gone, the impact that your life has made, he probably never understood the impact that his life would make after his death. And so now we're at this point where we're dealing with all of the riots and everybody, all of the protests, but we have some of the people that are doing things that I necessarily would not agree with, in a sense of rioting and things like that. But at the same time, I can empathize and try to understand those individuals that may be going inside of the Targets and whatever, looting, because of the economical struggle that they have dealt with. And at this point, the people are tired. I mean, that's all you keep hearing on the TV, is that the people are tired. We're tired as Black people being mistreated, underprivileged, not seeing our value. Me as a mom, I teach my children on a daily basis. I make it my business to teach my children, you are a king and you need to walk as such. I am raising you to be a king someday. And so you need to understand that, you walk with your head held high. You need to have a certain esteem, when you approach people in general. You need to make sure that you give contact to a male, whether he's white, Black, whoever, Caucasian, Hispanic, whatever the nationality is. You give them a good firm handshake. You look them straight square in their eye. You let your word be, your word. Yay be your nay, your yay, and your nay be your nay. So I teach my children, but I understand everybody doesn't get that.
But you know what? I wanna speak to that in a when we talk about privilege. And two parts of what you're saying is that this is not just about race, but it's also about class. With that. And I want to be clear that when we're talking about protesting, and even when they're talking about rioting, that there's also a separation when we talk about looting.
Right.
Because there's three different mindsets that exist in that same space. And there can be three different people in that same space. But what has happened is there's been a focus on looting and rioting, less on protesting, and really what's the root of what's occurring. And so, and just backing it up when we talk about there's power in the name, and who knew that, George Floyd would be this, but he's like the straw that broke the camel's back, because we have Breonna Taylor, we have Ahmaud Arbery, and we could go back. And so in a conversation I had earlier today, and I said that this is not an isolated incident. Like Will Smith said, racism didn't get worse, it just got televised.
Right.
And so there's that piece. We've been tired, and now, and again, not until others begin to see what's happening, and that they rise up, and now they're frustrated. And so what do they do next? How do they begin to tackle this? How do they begin to deal with their guilt? And I will say this, that I've had people reach out to me, and I what I say, work on you. Before you keep trying to jump out and now save the Black race in the world, is that you have to work on you. But here's what I do know, which is why I said the racial literacy roundtables that it started today, and actually I'm going to do it the first Tuesday of every month, because we need to continue the conversation, and this gives you a toolkit to begin to have these conversations, is that we don't need knee-jerk reactions.
Right.
That's what has us still tired. Okay? It's almost like you've just taken a Mountain Dew to give yourself energy, but you haven't fueled yourself, so you're up, and then you come crashing, and then what? And so what we're seeing here's the thing, and I'm going to say it, and yes, I said it, not just by white allies, but also by Blacks who felt guilty for years who did nothing.
Right.
And Blacks felt for long periods of time that they stood in their own Black privilege. They stood in their own Black privilege because that they had the means and the affording, because they didn't want to invest in their own neighborhoods. They wanted to go live and move into suburban spaces. They wanted to go live next to white people, to remove themselves, because they thought if they could move farther away from the problem, then it doesn't touch them, because they didn't want to have guilt by association. And so you have right now this Molotov cocktail of guilt. And so it's enraged, and through all of that, and what's actually framing it, really the house that it sits inside of, is what we call institutionalized racism and systemic racism.
Right.
So unless you know though how to have this conversation, you're running around screaming platitudes and talking about things and race when you have no foundational understanding of what it even means and historically how we got here.
Right.
So the very first thing I recommend to whoever you are, if you want to begin to evolve into an anti-racist, is first you need to know what racism is and what it isn't.
Right.
You need to know the framing that goes with it. You need to go all the way back, because how did we get here? How is the system? When we think about institutions, we go, what do you mean by institutions? Okay, let's name some institutions: our educational institutions, our healthcare institutions, our collegiate institutions.
Yeah.
Our religious institutions.
Right.
You hear the alerts going off because there's a severe alert, because everybody now is, you got to be home. There's a curfew.
Right. Oh,
wow. And so now everybody's sounding the alarm. And I read two things I want to share. The first thing is that I shared this with my group, and I wanted to share this, the Cherokee proverb. It says, listen to the whispers, and you won't have to hear the screams. And say, all the whispering, and unsettled, in the homes, in businesses, in organizations, in the educational systems, across the board, all the whispers were ignored. And now what you see and you hear are screams.
Yeah.
Okay? And now you have white people who they cannot ignore any longer. Because if it's like, it ain't half race, there's no such thing as race. Oh, it's no such thing. I live next door to Tiger Woods. No, there's no such thing. I had a Black person over dinner. Race, and so we had these conversations during the roundtable, which is why I said it was so important to have a conversation and to hear what we begin to do. But I want to share this quote. And I want to share this quote because for those listeners out there and resharing this for our white allies and our non-white allies and the people that are out there who still are going to be who they are. Like, I don't understand them. You don't need to understand them. You need to understand you. And act accordingly.
Right.
Okay. And that you can't understand them until you understand how they got there. And so we're not going to end institutionalized racism overnight.
Right. It didn't get here overnight.
But it's one person at a time. So here's the quote, and this is by Douglas Blackman.
Okay.
And he's an American writer and journalist, and he won the Pulitzer Prize in 2009 for his book, Slavery by Another Name, The Enslavement of Black Americans from the Civil War to World War II. That's his book, and this is an excerpt.
Okay.
And he says, when white Americans frankly peel back the layers of our commingled past, we are marked by it. We are marred either by our connections to the specific crimes and injuries of our fathers and their fathers, or we are tainted by the failures of our fathers to fulfill our national credos when their courage was most needed. We are formed in molds twisted by the gifts we received at the expense of others. It is not our fault, but it's undeniably our inheritance. So, I thought that was powerful.
It is.
So, the privilege is part of your inheritance, but guess what? So as having to find the solution and be proactive in beginning to break down the system in which your forefathers built.
Right. Taking a stand. My thing is, right is right, wrong is wrong. Take the stand.
But some people don't know how. I love how you said some people don't know how. And so I have also been filtering throughout today, sometimes with just irritation where I wanted to grab some people and just shake them and say, you're not going to fix this. And it's that knee-jerk reaction, and it's a guilt space. And one was like, here, I want to do this. So I'm looking at groups and people's like, okay, here. It's almost like, okay, now let me do your laundry. Okay, here, I'm going to invest in you. That is a temporary solution to what we've been dealing with, all the terminal illness.
Right.
So you going and decided that today I'm getting ready to go blind. Give me the link of a black-owned business, and today I'm going to put some money in that. Are you now going to systemically begin to put money in there every month?
Right.
Is that gonna solve it? So I've seen a lot of that in the last couple of days.
I have too.
Okay, let me help. This is what I saw today that nearly sent me over right before we came on. That's probably why I'm a little. Is that this person, and I know their heart's in the right place, but their mind, their thoughts, is still rooted in their implicit bias, okay, and their white privilege. And it was, hey, I have this business. Any black-owned businesses on in this network that we're in, I will do all of this for you for free. It's the least I can do.
It's like we're not asking for a handout.
Oh, wait, but here we go. Here's the thing. And I was waiting to see who was going to respond. And I saw people, oh, that's so sweet of you. Oh, it's me. Here's me. I'm a DM you. It's me. I wanted to reach out, and I didn't because, again, I don't like to react, I like to respond. And I wanted to reach out and say, that is not going to absolve you from your role in helping to resolve what's happening. And I liken it to having mom and parent guilt. When you yell at your child so you want to buy him something, to be quiet. And it makes. Here's the thing: white people right now, if you're listening, okay, you throwing things and reacting so quickly, just putting anything out there because you want to do something really quick, is not going to absolve you. It's going to make you temporarily feel better. What I recommend, and I recommend it to everybody on my calls today, I recommend it to everybody in the groups I've been facilitating. Go get quiet and spend some time with you. And then get clear about how you want to be part of the long-term sustainable goals to eradicate racism. Not this right now knee-jerk, let me throw some money at it, whatever.
Right.
So you want to do something really quickly? Go join the NAACP. Go join such as begin to put an allotment in place for certain groups and freedom groups to be able to fund them for the long haul. Decide to do some annuity. If you really want to do something, and I'm not knocking what you are doing now, But I know as a human, it's not going to make you feel better. It's like eating that chocolate donut and you know that you've been on the fast and shouldn't have it. It felt good for the moment,
right,
until later on you realize that sugar made you feel another kind of way. So I think that right now where people are, there's a sense of urgency to prove they're not a racist, and that inherent lies the problem.
right.
They're in a hurry to prove that they're not a racist,
Right.
that they're doing things that are indicative of their implicit biases and the institutions in which they were raised. That's part of the challenge.
Yeah, and I like something.
Like I said, I get into this.
Yeah, that's good. And I was listening to the proverb, and it's so important because something you said was, the person is thinking about, the courage that the individuals did not take, that they felt that they should have taken. And that was something that me and my husband were talking about. We were like, okay, we were sitting here when the first protest started this past Saturday down here in South Carolina. And we were like, should we be downtown? I was like, okay. My first thought was, well, I have 2 children. I don't need to put them in harm's way, number one, because they had already started. Somebody had already reported that there was some issues going on with the gas and all that stuff. And so I sat here and I said, now I've always said, if I was back in Martin Luther King in them days, I probably would have been one of the ones going to jail, or I probably would have been one of the ones getting killed because I wouldn't put up with blah, blah, blah. But now here it is today. I felt like this is my opportunity. Okay, why I didn't go downtown? And so we sat here and we were like, well, should we get up and go? And my mom called and she was like, what are y'all doing? I was like, I'm thinking about going downtown. In my mind, it was like, I felt like I had a responsibility to be downtown, But then I sat here and I said, no, I can't move I can't just react. I need to respond. And so for me, I said, well, I will peacefully protest virtually, or because I still hadn't even been at my business is still closed. Why would I go and put myself in harm's way with the whole COVID thing, going downtown? That was one of my other mindsets too. So then I was like, okay, but then on the other hand, I was having this internal conflict. Okay, but you're not standing up for your people. And then I had to say to myself, well, I have to do what's best for me. So I am going to virtually be peaceful and protest this way. And I heard, and before I go there, I was listening also to that proverb as, it sounded like they felt like, because they didn't take the courage, you let them down. You didn't go all the way as you should have for their people. And so that I had that moment this past weekend that I should have been downtown. But I feel like, doing this right here and interacting online, with the different virtual protests that they're having, that's my space. That's what my contribution is for this whole ordeal. Then I was listening today, I think it was, where the family of Mr. George said he wants he's asking everybody to stop, and he wanted a peaceful protest. I guess he didn't want all the other stuff that was going on. But at the same time, I understand. I keep going back and forth because I keep saying, but I can understand and I can get where those people that might be looting and rioting, I can understand where their mindset might be. They may not have been raised in a family with 2 parents loving them, teaching them, bringing them up right, going to school every day, making sure they have food on the table, have clothes on their back. Some of those very people may have had to struggle, raise themselves,
As I'm listening to you, Anya, and it's like that's really a lot of that battle, that internal battle that we have, which is why I say, my 3 C's: get clear, get clear about who you are, where your gift is, and how you want to, and that for our programming, which is why you have to work on the programming, is that I have to justify the decision that I made that I thought was best for me.
Right.
Because here's what I said. I know, because I know who I am. I'm not the down in the middle of the street piece. So I sat with myself and said, how can I use my voice, my influence, to change the narrative and influence the outcome. What platforms, what tools do I have? And I did it unapologetically. So I'm not trying to rationalize, nor do I need to explain to any person what my choice was. But because there's a part of us when we're on our journey in that self-discovery, you know how I am about digging beyond that layer, you know that, is that when you get to that space of clarity about who you really are, what you stand for, then you make a decision and move. Because sometimes I sat here and the only thing I could do was cry. And I said, I know I want to do something. I just don't know what I want to do. I want to do something. I don't know what I want to do. And so then I sat in it and said, okay, what feels good to me?
Right.
Because people will then go out, and I say this because this is often a lot of the human experience. White, Black, Puerto Rican, and Haitian will do these things. And they'll say, look, I went down there and I got hurt. And then people don't see, I did it for them, and they don't even appreciate it. So how about you not do it for them and you do it for you?
Right. Do what's best for you.
You then go back to you. Do what's best for you. Use whatever influence and how you have influence. Right. Maybe it's making phone calls with people. Maybe it's going and getting some food and say, hey, I'm going to drive. I drop some food off for y'all. What is it? Whatever it is. Right. Here's my thing. Right now in this season, and I love this meme, and I love that little, this has been my go-to. The little girl in the car talks about, worry about yourself. And when I say worry about yourself, I'm not saying don't care about the bigger issue. Worry about what your contribution will be in the collective mission and vision to effect change and activate. Because when you're trying to act outside of that, I'm not saying outside your comfort zone. When you're trying to do what you think other people think you should be doing,
right, you get in trouble.
Is when there's an issue. So that's why you got to go back in there and say, clarity. And I said, well, I don't. Now, if there's certain parts, like certain parades, I might have been. Like at a certain, I was like, I wish I would have known. I would have, I would have gone down there. But I did it. I was like, okay, why? Because I'm not into. I don't watch the news like certain things. I do certain reading. I use my voice. I use my experience. Yes. I said, I've been through some things. I got some things to show you. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust and believe.
Yeah.
I know a lot about firsthand experience of police brutality and issues. So my point in all that is that I have a story to tell. And I have a value add. And it is my decision, mine, to execute. And now that because I'm clear on that, I don't have that battle. Should I have been there? Should we have gone? Am I not Black enough? Because do I not care because I didn't go there? I have people call me going, I feel like, I'm not. But so that's your own guilt. You do it. That's your monkey. You carry it because I don't want it today.
Yeah, and that's what I meant when I said, I went through those things in my mind over the weekend, but I made the decision. I was like, I'm not going down there because number one, I said in my 20s, maybe I would have went down there. But that's not me today. So that's how I made it clear for me, made clarity with it for me. Who am I today? And what do I do today? I can't live off of the past. So I have to do what I do for today. And so I really felt like, this platform right here would be my way of giving back, just to get on and like candidly talk and be honest, hoping that, maybe the white people will get on. I see a few. I thank you all so much for tuning in. Because for me, like I was saying, doing those round tables.
I'm going to tell you right now, your platform, Black people need it too. So
okay,
I'm talking to people who want to be anti-racist. So what you shared is so good. It's actually for everybody.
Right. It's not
so if you are white or you're Black and if there's some elements to this that's resonating with you, this will be a perfect time to say thank you, Anya. Give us some hearts and say that it resonates because even though we're talking about the African American or Black experience, we're talking universal truths about how to respond.
Yes.
In crises.
Yes. And and I just want to make mention to this. I was watching Jimmy Fallon last night. I don't know if anybody else got to see it. There was this one lady, and I didn't get to catch her name, but I got the middle. I got to hear most of it. She was so informative and insightful. It was a white female, and she was just talking about her spiel of being a teacher back in Martin Luther King Day, and she was talking about how she had this. She did an experiment in class. How to a day of walking in the African American child's shoes. I think it was.
Yes.
I can't remember her name.
I have notes. I know. Yes, I was actually reading some stuff. That was, oh my gosh, I can't believe.
Yes. Look, my big mind said, call that lady up and have her on the show tomorrow, because she had so much good information. And she was so bold with it. And I was like, yes, But anyway, she was just talking about the proverb. I think it was I don't know if it was Cherokee, but I think it was an Indian proverb. She was talking about that she was going to have for her children to do, walk a day in my moccasins, or something to that effect, I think it was. And it was just so good how, the experiment that she wanted to have with the young people. She said she wished, she had known the consequences of that particular I guess project that she did with them. Maybe she would have thought it through and did something different.
I tell you, I was just looking at that and working through that last night, because I was sharing it, and when you said it, her name, everything went out. And so that experience is when you really begin to try to help people understand what racism is and isn't.
Yes.
And that people will speak and say, I understand, I understand or I empathize with, the Black people. You want to walk a day in their shoes.
Yes.
You want to be.
Yes.
Would you want to live?
Yes.
Would you want to take on that?
Mm-hmm.
And would you be treated like one?
Right.
That's what she said. Do you want to be treated? When she asked that question, they were like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I understand. I empathize. And yes, I love, but do you want to be treated like one? Right. And when that question was asked, it just literally stumped me. And my sister actually were talking about that exact same study last night.
Yes. I mean, it is so good.
It's a powerful study.
Mm-hmm.
It's a powerful study.
Yes. And I wish, I wish I had heard that prior to the last roundtable I was a part of, because there was a lady that was there. She just didn't understand, first of all, her rights as a white female, and she was just like, there is no such thing as white privilege. And for me, I was just baffled. Like, are you? I just couldn't get past. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? And we're pointing out the different things, whether it's, a Black person needs to cross over the street in order for a white person to feel comfortable coming down the sidewalk. I'm thinking, what? Just all kinds of things. But like you said earlier, it's not just one race, or, just racism with white people. It's even the Black people, that may have racism. You can't do. My mom always said, you can't do evil for evil.
I'm gonna clarify that. I was sharing again. I think people don't know what racism is and what it isn't. And so when they say racism, and that race in itself is not a scientific. It's actually a social and political concept. Okay. And when you think about the critical race theory, and when people say you're a racist, I can be prejudiced, I can be a bigot. I cannot be a racist, because racism and a racist means you have power to make decisions that impact your institutional systems that control. Like, do you have that? Have Blacks had that ever in America? No. So you're not using the term properly. That's what. Okay, remember, I'm educated. That part just used to kill me. So what you're saying is that I'm prejudiced.
Right. Okay.
I'm prejudging. I'm a bigot. I have these other tendencies. But when you call a person a racist, okay, you're talking about a system of power, a structure, and those that actually hold the power to that structure to dictate how things are ran. You've got to understand that if you're going to be an anti-racist. I mean, so when you're going around and saying, okay, well, that Black person, they don't like Black people, they're racist. No, they're not. They're prejudiced. They're not racist.
Yeah.
Because they don't control the power structure. So you've got to understand that. So I think that with all of this, we have to begin to educate people on what these terms really are, what they're not, so they can use them properly, so then they can figure out where do they fit in the equation. Because it's almost like you're playing a telephone game. Because I heard it from so and so, I heard it from so and so, I heard it got to me. I done said something and it's all convoluted and it's all jacked up. So I keep telling people, go out and educate yourself. And I say that even as a Black woman. I went to predominantly white schools, elementary, middle, high school, college, etc. I sought the knowledge for me to be able to understand who I was as a Black woman, because it wasn't anywhere in school. So when I went to college, I went to San Diego State. I took all of the classes I could in the Africana Studies department. They had a great department there. So when you talk about where does this kind of come from, because there are so many things I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. And so all things like I heard. So I was using terms, and there's power in words. And there's power in understanding. So I think that we can help people help support and move the needle. And people say, well, how can I show up? And I had a great question from my friend Brian. And he was asking for me because he couldn't make the roundtable, but he wanted to ask, and I didn't get to delve into it because we talked around it in my group. But he said, how do I become a good white ally without usurping the narrative as my own? I said, hot diggity damn. Now that tells me you understand. You see? Because he doesn't want to make it about him. He's saying, how do I support without taking it on and talking about what my experiences are? Well, in order to do that, you first have to understand what you're dealing with. What are you fighting? You cannot go and fight a grease fire the same way you would fight a different fire. You got to know what you're working with. Right. And I think that people don't know what they're working with, and they're throwing like eggs, at the brick wall, thinking it's getting ready to come down. And so there's a piece in there where we do have to become aware. Yes, we're angry, we're hurt, we're emotional, I'm frustrated. Trust me, I got it. I'm feeling it. I have 3 brothers. I have nephews. I get that part. And I'm not judging anyway. That's why I said I haven't spoken about those, because my thing is that I can't speak for them. I can only speak for where I'm at. And I do not condone violence in that manner. I don't, but I know there's times when I've been enraged enough to hit and do stuff, so I can't speak. So I said I'm not going to. But what I can do is, again, what I can do, okay, neighborhood, you need help cleaning up, let me go support you cleaning that up. Okay, you need my voice to begin to highlight what we're dealing with, and you need my experiences and my area of expertise to speak on this. Okay, I will. I taught American history. I taught Reconstruction. I taught American Negro slavery. I taught these things. That's where my frame of reference comes from, so it hits differently for me. And that's why I'm speaking in that other space, is that if we're going to look at long-term change, resolution, and not change, but transformation, we got to look at it differently.
Yes. Well, this has been awesome. I know we're probably over our little 9 minutes. So you know what? But I will take that as we went over 9 minutes for the show. We started out with tributing the first 9 minutes to George Floyd. And so we'll just say that those last 9 minutes were also for his family. That worked out perfect. 9 is divine. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me for Ask Anya Tuesdays. Anyone that might have questions, or you just need to reach out, you need a coach, you need a counselor, definitely hit me at the email address, anyaswell@gmail.com. I'm sure, Dina, you have ways that they can get in touch with you to learn more.
Yes. 2 things that I do want to encourage you. First and foremost, like I mentioned, I'm doing a special series on race, class, and sisterhood. So please go check out my podcast, Walking Through Glass. It's on iTunes, Google Music Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. And so there's great shows and episodes, and there's a series that is dropping. And you're welcome and invited to follow me on Instagram at Dr. Dina Speaks, DrDenaSpeaks, on all platforms. Now, I do have a Twitter, not that I'm on there, but you can follow me there too. So I really appreciate you having me and you allowing me to share with your viewers and your audience.
You're very welcome, and I appreciate you again. Everyone, please look out for the group that I'm going to start for this particular for the Ask Anya Tuesdays. I'm still working on some things, trying to learn how to do some virtual things. So I have a podcast that is coming. It's already up. I have done my first show, I guess, blog of it. I'm still learning all the correct terminology. But I am waiting still to, put it out there for everyone else to join me. So it is coming. Please just, be patient with me. And thank you so much. I will see you on next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Thank you for asking. Thank you for joining me for Ask Anya Tuesdays. See you next time. Bye-bye.